All right, welcome back to week. Honestly, I don't know, but we have Geranium Drive today, which I'm super excited about. It's an Austin favorite and a personal favorite of mine too. Autumn Furtak and Rex Rimato are in the house. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
Great.
Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, of course. Something I noticed immediately off the bat, which I don't think that applies to a lot of artists or music these days, is that when I listen to your songs, the first thing I was like, I can listen to this any time of the day. And I'm like a super big playlister and like playlist for the shower, playlist for the car, playlist for when I'm hanging out with friends, completely different
Yeah.
all the time. But that's something that I love and wanted to give you compliments for because I don't see that every day. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've always made an effort, I guess, to try to just have like a lot of different moods in the songwriting, just because that's what I experience like throughout the day. So, yeah, it's cool that that's like coming across and you
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah.
Definitely. Another thing I noticed, so you guys definitely are an Austin favorite for sure. But I feel like that comes with kind of a price to pay. You're kind of in a genre where people in Austin really appreciate, but maybe not so much in other big cities. Do you feel like that affects how you measure your success?
Um, Sort of. I mean, like creatively, I just kind of have my own goals as far as like songwriting and stuff like that goes. Um, but if we're having fun at a show, no matter where it is, it's like there's like 10 people in Houston, and they're blasting off, they're having a great time, or like in Denton or something like that. I mean, just kind of in the moment doing that. It's uh, doesn't just have to be like here in Austin.
Yeah, I feel like Austin's probably a good place to have that problem if you're going to.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah, definitely a growing scene, and genre bending has gotten so much bigger now. And like, I know that you have kind of claimed to be like the indie psychedelic rock, but I mean, there's also like different ways that you can interpret that as a listener too.
Yeah.
Um, but that's super cool. Do you feel like that's connecting with your audience when you're on stage performing?
Yeah, totally. Because it's just good to like keep things interesting. Like, I don't know, when you see a band and you're like 3 songs in and you kind of know how the rest of the set's gonna go. There's a million things you can do when you're out checking out music. So it's like I like to try to pull people's attention and just like throw some curveballs like in the set, and just um, you know have have a set that's kind of more like a roller coaster. It's going different places.
Yeah, when it comes to kind of planning those sets and trying to keep that roller coaster going, I mean, most people have a set list ready to go, but do you kind of engage with the audience and see where that needs to change at different times in a set?
Um, not so much. I feel like it's something that's kind of more like crafted behind closed doors. Like they'll be like, okay, we can get like a rhythm generating in the intro to get people's attention. It's kind of um there's one song we have, and we have like kind of like these stick clicks in the beginning, and I always feel like as soon as you get like a drum beat going in the background, people can't help but like pay attention to that. And so, oh, like, if people are doing that, we need to get their attention. We've got like that kind of song. um we get a couple of songs through the set, and might change the time signature or something like that, or kind of have more of a ballad. A lot of it's, I guess, it's not really spur of the moment. It's definitely more something that we like are crafting in the studio, but something we put a lot of thought into.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, when you have those kinds of goals for reaching an audience, does that reflect the beginning of your kind of career of starting a band? Was there a goal that you were trying to achieve? You were like, I want to make music for myself. I want to make music for this group of people. Like, I want to make music for a moment. What was kind of your initial trajectory in the beginning?
Oh, man, it's hard because like writing a song is just not always one of those things where you can control like that, I guess. It's more of just like however you're feeling in the moment. Like, you got to just find like chords and lyrics that are gonna go with that. And so I don't know, however I'm feeling day to day is gonna change a lot, and I don't know if I'm really like thinking about how it's gonna come across on the stage yet. I'm just trying to like bring as many songs out as I can, and then there's a lot of different kinds, and I'm picking them and kind of putting them into groups as I see fit, like later on. But as far as like where the inspiration's coming from, I think when I first moved to Austin, it was just a lot about traveling from like Burlington, Vermont, down here, and being influenced by like Black Angels and bands like Wand and Deer Hunter and stuff like that, and just kind of being influenced by my travels, as well as like, I don't know, 60s garage kind of music, and just tried to like put together an EP of that kind of stuff and see what would happen. And after that came out, I pretty much met our bass player John through that, and he was just into the exact same kind of thing. He was just like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And yeah, we kind of just met at this jam session where I don't know, there's this other mutual friend we had at the time just invited us both over to John's place, and it was just really weird because when I first moved to Austin, I literally wrote all the songs 2 blocks down the street from like where he lived, and I just didn't even know him till like a year later. But yeah, I don't know. That pretty much that was like the first group of songs, and that's kind of what went into that, and it's changed a lot since then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the formation of the band, how you guys met, when you decided that this was something that you really wanted to pursue.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I guess in the first couple years, like 2006 to like around, 2016 to like 2017, 2018, things like weren't super active. Like I wrote a lot of songs, but we changed through like a lot of members, and yeah, we're still kind of finding like the right members in the band, and yeah, my friend Marcus was like, the band had taken a break, and then my friend Marcus just kind of called me and he was like, all right, we really got to give this another shot. And he switched from playing bass to guitar. John came in, and we played with a few different drummers until we met Tom Cox, and we recorded 18 at, I think we released that on like Free Week in 2018. And so that was kind of like the launch point of being like, all right, we're gonna pursue this some more. And yeah, since then we've recorded another EP. I think in 2019 we did Drive to This, which was another really cool release show. And yeah, I guess the sounds kind of changed in that one. I feel like there was a lot more like blues influence and stuff like that coming in. Just kind of like this, I don't know, this weird kind of like Texas Americana thing just coming from the other people I was playing with, and I was kind of coming at things from the more psychedelic side of things. And since then, we've still been actively writing songs and putting stuff out. It's been more like singles and videos, and just kind of adapting things to, I don't know, just the modern way the world works, and like, having to just put out music very consistently to do things in line with YouTube and Instagram and Spotify and all these kind of things that we're at the mercy of. So yeah, the next thing that we're doing is going to be an album. It's going to be called Where the Road Turns, and it's going to be like a full piece of music. It's definitely going to be heading in like a different direction for the band. I'm super excited about it. we're staying true to like the psychedelic roots with this new one, and I don't know, kind of just going for a heavier sound. Just I don't know. Kind of there's like a little bit of Britpop in there. There's just kind of like a Texas psychedelia, Texas garage rock kind of thing going on. I don't know, how would you explain it? Like,
Yeah, no, it's spot on. Like, definitely kind of like a little bit heavier, more groovy kind of, I would say. Like, down tuning a little bit on some of them.
Yeah.
Which sounds really cool.
No, that's exciting. Yeah, because that will be technically your debut album, right? You only have singles and EPs out.
it will.
I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
it
full
will.
length.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
How does it, as like you as a band, how does making music kind of, what's your collaboration process so far?
A lot of the times Autumn will just have like a pretty full solid demo that he'll just send to us, and then we'll all just listen to it, kind of get a feel for it, and then just all come together and jam on it. So a lot of it is just Autumn, like he'll do a demo with drums and everything. Other times it's a bit more collaborative, or like sometimes we'll change a part that was on the demo or whatever, just to suit each player, you know?
Yeah, it's sometimes hard when it's still in the demo form to be like, oh, how is this going to work live? And yeah, just the songs definitely evolve as we take them into the room more and just out of my, own kind of off the top recorded thoughts,
Yeah. And you talk about doing like video and art along with your releases, which I find very cool and always interesting.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you as an artist and a band, like really emphasizing the art behind, and by art I mean like digital and physical, besides the music, and collaborating those two together?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the best art that we've had has been collaborating with other people for sure. But it's just about giving people the full experience, I think, with any like, psychedelic music. There's like a visual aspect to that, and so I think that just helps set the vibe. Someone who's done some really awesome art for us is Fez Marino, and he designed our logo, and he used to do like kind of these crazy acid lights, as well as a bunch of like posters for this place called the Electric Church. So I think he's pretty influential to like anybody making psychedelic music in Texas, or even if you're just, it's crazy because if you even just like type in like psychedelic show flyers, his stuff's like popping up with
his posters are awesome.
Yeah, that stuff's gonna like pop up with like the the Jefferson Airplane posters from the 60s and stuff like that. So he's definitely been influential to us, as well as like a lot of other artists. But yeah, it's just good to like set the vibe, and like when you're going to a show and you're coming into a room, there's some kind of like trance like music. Sometimes just like visually being on lock with that and just being focused can just kind of help you just set the right vibe for like taking in a whole set, and just being able to hear things.
Yeah, and you talk about him making your logo, but where did you come up with the name of the band?
I mean, I guess there's a lot of different stories for this, but like, what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like we just talked about this, but
yeah,
a lot of people ask me that, and I'm like, I don't know. You have to ask.
I guess it's like I don't know. Just we have this one song that's like stones scattered from the path, making room for blades of grass. Faz made a poster back in I think 2018, and there was kind of like, I don't know, this jagged kind of road, and he in the logo, the most recent logo, there's like a crack and the flowers kind of coming out. So I guess it's always been just like the juxtaposition of like blacktop and nature, kind of like just sorry, I keep on hitting that. Nature just persevering and growing, and I don't know, feels kind of like living in the city and making psychedelic art is a kind of similar to that juxtaposition.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a constant theme throughout the music as well. Like I
Yeah,
can hear the
totally.
name in the music, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally has. I can't really get away from it, I guess. But I imagine a lot of people are like experiencing that, like just living in a city like Austin or New York or LA or wherever. It's just, you're kind of part of this like turning machine, and yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty weird thing.
And we touched on this a little bit in the beginning, talking about how you're a band that kind of combines genres, bends them, however you want to kind of describe how people combine sound. Have you had a method thus far of like breaking through the noise of so many bands, especially now, kind of pursuing that same, not same sound as you, but same in the sense of like multiple genres or genre bending?
Um, it's hard for me to like measure my own success. I guess I'm not like really trying to compete with the other bands in town. I mean, there's like a lot of other great bands, and I'm not going to be able to like do what they do any better. I guess I just try to do my own thing as good as I can, and just look at the last thing I released and be like, all right, what's the next direction? What's the next step I can take this in? That's gonna be better than the last thing I did. I don't know. Yeah, there is a lot of noise, but I don't think like so much of it is really even from other bands or other music. It's like I find myself more competing with the constraints of things like Instagram, where it's like I'm trying to create this thing that is crossing different musical boundaries or genres, or it's going to be new, and it's constantly with whatever program I'm going to have to share it with, it's being like shrunken down to this kind of thing that's on someone's phone. So it's like that's the most that's the thing I struggle with the most. Or I hear it with bands that are mixing things these days. Like I think it's a popular thing to be like, how can I master this to sound good coming off the cell phone? And I don't know if there's a right answer to that question, but yeah, all you can really do is like just keep making art that's true to yourself, and
I feel like musically you take influence from like a lot of stuff that like I've never even like really listened to either. Like I don't know, a lot of people that are kind of like going for that sound or whatever, and it's just so diverse. It's like no one's really like trying to do like the exact same thing as what Autumn's writing.
Yeah, do you feel like you have a method of staying grounded in that and focusing on that rather than comparison or beating yourself up about something?
yeah, I just try to just trust in the process. I just trust in my own process. Yeah. And I'd say anyone trying to write songs or do art or music, I don't know, just trust in what you're doing, and like there's there's a lot of self-criticism that'll happen, but it's just that's okay, but just keep at it.
Yeah, could you both walk me through what it was like starting a band pre-COVID and then going through that together where there's no live shows and then coming out of that?
Yeah.
Or was that when
So-
you took the break?
In terms of formation of the band, I was not in the band in the beginning. I joined about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and
I guess you would have still been in the band, I guess, towards the tail end of COVID, like a little bit.
yeah.
That was, yeah. it's easy to forget, but there was like so many points where we're just like, okay, we're done with
back.
COVID, and okay, now we're going
Nope.
back, and I mean, I feel like there's a lot of switches with that, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think COVID was a struggle for a lot of people, but we just took it um, as an opportunity to just like do a lot more things in the studio. A lot of the videos we made were all during that time. Even like, living in Austin, we're pretty great to have like a lot of outdoor venues, so there was like still a lot of events we could play, being like safe and distanced from people, like Far Out Lounge and stuff like that. And yes, there's some really interesting shows just like after not playing for, I don't know, the lockdown or whatever, that like 5 or 6 months. I think the first show we played at was Far Out, and it was just it was like so strange. Like, you just, as soon as we got on stage, just everybody just like went quiet. Like no one had seen any music in so long. It's just so different from, I don't know, the ways things are normally. It just, everyone's always going to shows. There's a million shows. There's a million venues. You can go at any of these, and people are like loud and with their friends and partying and stuff like that. And it was just like so weird to, when you take all that away, just like there was like so much focus. You could hear like a pin drop. It was like pretty strange, just like coming back to it for the first time. But I don't know. For us, I don't think COVID was super detrimental. I was able to like take time doing a lot of other projects that I wouldn't have gotten to otherwise do. I built a studio out east. It's called Seize the Mean Studio, for my friend Evan Kleinecke. I did like a lot of like acoustic sound solutions for another studio, making these like sound panels and hanging them on a ceiling. Still able to write a lot of songs. I run my own business these days, and before COVID, I was like mainly working in coffee shops and things like that. So, just, it was a good time to just have some like space and kind of rethink about how I want to do things, and not have to be like grinding all the time. I was lucky enough to be in a space where I could do that. So, yeah.
And your other business is, repairing guitars, or no?
Yeah, I do audio repair.
Okay, so how did you get into that?
I started in like 2012, changing strings on guitars for this company called Music Store Live, and there's this guy who is called, or his name is Paul Megno, and yeah, he'd play in like local bands. He played in this band called Rough Francis, up in Burlington, Vermont, and I just kind of knew him from seeing him at shows, and just really wanted to have this job as like working at like grocery stores and things like that. And so he was like, yeah, all right. And they gave me a job, and I just pretty much cleaned up the warehouse and like changed strings, and just been learning the world of repair ever since then. And yeah, there's plenty of broken audio equipment in Austin, so it's like I'm in the right place to be. Yeah.
I actually moved here from Vermont about 3 years ago too, and that's how Autumn and I became friends, was through a mutual friend that we have named Brian. He's in a band called the Vacant Lots. But he was like, oh, you're moving to Austin, you have to meet Autumn. And I was like, okay, cool. And then we started hanging out, and I became like a Geranium Drive fan, and I would go to the shows, and then eventually they wanted me to join, so
that's pretty cool.
It was perfect.
Yeah, for sure. How did you both get into music in the first place?
My dad was a musician, so I just always had a guitar laying around the house, and just started picking it up pretty young and just kind of playing for fun and figuring it out. It was like a long, slow process.
It's kind of the fun thing about it. It's a similar kind of thing for me, though. I mean, my father was a musician, and I didn't really pick up any instruments until I was like, I don't know, 11, which I feel like is kind of late. Like I don't know, for some reason I had like no interest in it whatsoever. And then yeah, I took an interest in like electronic music, and I was like mainly into that, like synthesizers. And I guess around the time like like what, like the iBook, and they came with GarageBand. You could like pull loops down and do that kind of thing. So that's kind of what sparked my interest in it. And it was like the more of the songwriting aspect and like composing kind of.
I totally agree. Like when I heard people were like home recording and stuff and like doing it all themselves, that's when I was like, oh, I should like really start playing, because that just seems fun to me. Like it's just all right there, you know. It's not like this big complicated process anymore.
Totally.
Yeah, I've messed around on GarageBand a few times. I can't say I know what I'm doing, but yeah, it's really cool. And to know that that's like not a bad software, but that's just the beginning of what you can like learn from production software. That's insane, because I don't even know half of the buttons on there. So that's pretty cool that you decided to pick that up so early and kind of carry it out.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I've definitely had like people that were kind of help me along in other forms of music. I mean, like GarageBand's great because you can be like, oh yeah, you can create entire songs and like anyone can do this. But I feel like I've had friends who are like equally important in being like bringing me out to like punk rock shows and being like, oh yeah, anyone can pick up guitars or like drum kits and make some kind of, you can just start making some kind of noise and like
make it sound really good with just simplicity.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I guess kind of after that happened, I feel like I took more of a shift away from the electronic music. I mean, I still like plenty of electronic music, but just started playing drums a lot and guitar, singing eventually.
Yeah. Have there been other people outside of the band that have been really formative in you consistently and continuously pursuing this and kind of being like your biggest fans?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned Brian.
Yeah, shout out Brian.
Yeah, shout out Brian.
Huge inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian and I like grew up in the same town, and he has this band called The Vacant Lots. And I don't know, there's always been a weird like duality with me and Brian, because he also does audio repair, and we were kind of both getting started on that. He works on like synthesizers and crazy things that I don't even know how they work. But just seeing him do The Vacant Lots and touring overseas has always been pretty inspirational to me.
He started doing that like pretty young, right? So you kind of watched it happen.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably like 16 or 17, or he was like going overseas and doing that, so that was cool to see. I'm trying to think of, I mean, there's a multitude of people here in Austin. Evan Kleinicke's been super helpful to me, just recording and working on projects together with, and Steve Terabecki from White Denim helped us produce one of the last songs we did. He was super helpful. Wes Coleman's been awesome. I was able to get a studio space where we pretty much do everything through there because of knowing him, and I don't know, there's probably a million other people I'm forgetting about. But
so many bands in Austin you go and see, and you're like, I just want to keep playing and sound better, like.
Oh, totally, yeah. So
many inspiring peers.
Yeah, sounds like you have a really well-established community.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any shows in particular? You said before that, I guess post-COVID, those were kind of really memorable shows just because people honestly needed it after that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have other ones that you were really memorable for whatever reason it was that day?
Totally. When we released Drive to This, it was pretty cool. We did the release at Canopy and there are just a lot of other artists that kind of gotten involved in various ways. And for me, I just finished writing the songs and recording them, and we all learned them pretty quick, and they're all pretty fresh to us. And so we were kind of going through the, a little bit of an intuitive process on the stage when we played. But there was other groups of people kind of performing with us in a way, or like taking part in the creativity that afternoon. Like there was these aerial performances, and they the aerial performers, excuse me, and they like choreographed all of these, like, I don't even know what the word is. I mean, it's like dance moves in the air.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, so they set up, and they were like doing all these interpretive dance moves on these ropes. And so I'm kind of playing these songs for the first time, and I'm like watching them. And then I don't know, another friend of mine who was like a writer was out, and I could see him in the crowd, and he was like, I don't know what he was writing, but he's like writing. And then another artist in town, I think his name's Amy, he goes out to shows and like does live drawings of musicians on like a tablet. And so it's just like this crazy thing of like dance, people writing and people drawing as we're playing the new songs. And that was just wild. never had a show like that ever since. It was a unique experience. Have you had any like shows that are memorable to you?
I mean,
it's okay if you
yeah, not off the top of my head. There's, some have been just really great. Just sometimes the crowds can just be more active, and it's always just super fun when people are going for it.
Yeah. And you joined the band relatively recently, so how has that kind of just changed the trajectory of your life?
Of my life,
yeah.
Personally?
Mm-hmm.
It's been great. It's been one of the best things I've ever done with my life. Like, when I lived in Burlington, like, I always wanted to be playing in, like, a band, but I just couldn't find, like, the right people or the right stuff. Like, I wanted to be playing. And then I moved here, and it took kind of a while, but like I said, I'd been seeing Geranium Drive, and I was like, man, this band is really cool. Like, I like this stuff. Had no idea that I'd be joining, and then when Autumn asked me, I was like, yeah, of course.
Rex is a very humble guy. He like, I think when I first asked him, he was just like, yeah, I don't really like play too much like lead guitar.
Yeah.
He said something like that.
And then was like, I might not be the guy, but I'll try.
Yeah, and then he just came over and learned like every song in about like one evening and had it down ever since. So
I was pretty dedicated because I really wanted to play with them.
Yeah.
And it's just been like so amazing. Everybody's so nice. We get along great, and everybody's puts in the work, and it's just been getting better and better.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that too, just because you said that kind of members have changed
Yeah.
throughout the years. How do you keep the band cohesive after changes and making sure that it still feels like the same band? I mean, I know that changing people changes the sound at least a little bit, but
Yeah.
staying true to Geranium Drive.
Oh, I guess more and more as I like write the songs, I play the few different instruments, and so it's I can come at it from different points, whether it be like bass or drums or guitar or even sometimes keyboards or whatever. But I guess I'm just trying to focus in on just what's the melody, and that's just going to, if that works and you get chords to it, then like that's all you need, and whatever happens is gonna like happen. And I don't know, been pretty fortunate to play with some like really great people who can just pick up on that and kind of shape things around that. So there's definitely been points where it's like I had to write all the parts because maybe we're in between members, or I don't know, things just have to get finished. But I'm fortunate enough to have people in the band that are generally better at doing things than I am able to, so I leave a lot of it in their hands. And also, like, John's not here today, but John's been with me pretty much everything since
Yeah, that's like the core.
2018 at least. Yeah.
Core is like Autumn, and then John's been there since basically the beginning, is what I understand.
Yeah, and John sings too, so John's kept things pretty good together. he's a rock. So I'm thankful for John. Yeah.
And I don't know if you agree, but I feel like the other like renditions of the band and different members have all been good in their own way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it might sound slightly different in one way, but the core is still intact.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
songwriting
totally.
and everything, but everybody just brings something different to the table.
Do you feel like the like good chemistry that continues out through the years is due to the fact that everyone's kind of on the same page of how they want the music to sound, or do you think it's something else?
I feel like the chemistry right now is really good for
Yeah.
that reason. We're all on the same page.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're in a town where like everything changes. The music venues change, the bookers change, and some people are passing through, some people stay, and I don't know. I'm just pretty thankful for everybody who's like been involved with the band in one way or another. It's all I can ask, really.
Yeah, for sure. And people pass through and things change, but which makes a day very different. But I'd love to hear like what a day in each of your lives looks like on just everyday basis.
I don't know. Typically, I'm doing a lot of grinding and working and running my business and just trying to play for a few hours every day, and just kind of doing that, spending time with my partner, and just trying to put time aside every week for like songwriting and just being in staying in the right headspace that can allow me to be creative and pushing things forward. And then a lot of time just goes into seeing other shows and sometimes working at the chess club, and a lot of it's just sitting behind a computer and emailing people too, and just trying to make connections both here in Austin and just trying to see what other artists are out there in the Texas area and even further than that are like making music that are similar to us, and just trying to pay attention like what artists are coming here, who's touring, who sounds kind of like us, and just trying to be aware of that stuff always.
Yeah. Yeah, I have like a similar kind of day, but I work at night, so it's like I'll just, I work like a show maybe like 5 times a week at chess club, and just chill with my dog. I have a practice space that's like down the street from Autumn's, so I'll be either at his or at mine, like playing most days.
Yeah. Rix and I also play Magic cards.
Yeah, we play Magic the Gathering.
We're very passionate about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like having these jobs or businesses or side hustles, do you feel like that ever gets in the way, or do you feel like it's all just part of the process?
All the time. Yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, just like part of the modern life we live. So it's like, it's something I accept, and it's definitely like informed songwriting and stuff like that. I mean, if I had like the perfect life, I don't know if like the songs would be as interesting. It'd be like kind of like a, like a murder mystery without the murder, or like a political thriller without the backstabbing or something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I like to stay busy, especially working like in a venue, just more music, like it's just all connected.
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
Feels like it synergizes pretty well with making music too.
Yeah, I think we're both fortunate enough to like be at least like working in the field where it's like interesting to us, we're not just like flipping burgers or something like that. We're like
yeah.
I'm super thankful for that.
Yeah, I think working at a venue too, like from my personal experience, I get to see different artists and teaches me how to ask different questions and things that I now find interesting that I wouldn't have seen in a different show. And then I'm like, oh, that's something that this artist would find really interesting if I asked them.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, I'm in school too. So, yeah, staying
Yeah.
busy is also just,
It's good.
it's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah, when I'm not busy, then I'm just going to sit on my phone.
Yeah.
And that's just not healthy. So
I work for a moving company too, just for like something to do during the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Been awesome.
yeah,
I
and then
love
you
that
learn
job.
from those people too, things that like
yeah,
you
it's
just
totally
wouldn't.
different.
Yeah, it's a
Mix it
refreshing
up.
change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Has there been a piece of advice that anybody has given you, both of you, that has really stuck with you throughout the years?
I kind of go back through the data banks here. People tell you so many things, but you gotta just kind of learn lessons yourself. I don't know. Can you think of anything on top of your head?
Like all the time, I'll just get little tidbits of things that I just like keep with me.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything specific.
Yeah, I kind of feel that too, especially the learning yourself. I'm so the type I tell my friends not to tell me
Yeah.
if they're like, you shouldn't do that, because I'm like, I'll figure it out myself, and I'd rather do it that way because I hate the I told you so kind of
Yeah.
aspect of that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess I can think of one is my friend Adam Sisko. He played in this band called The Academy Is, and I don't know, like maybe in 2011, he told me it's just like never release a demo. Just release it when it's done. Just make sure it's done and then put it out. Don't just put out something that's half finished, because people will think it's done.
Yeah.
And then if you do something like over 3 times or something like that, then they won't accept like the newest one, because the reference point will be the first thing. I don't know, that always kind of stuck with me.
yeah. And you talk about the kind of unfinished aspect and writing and the whole process of it all. We kind of talked about it a little bit with Geranium Drive as a whole and the band's name and the music itself, but the songwriting, what is kind of your driving force behind that?
Like what makes me write songs?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've just been writing ever since I was a kid. I took like creative writing classes when I was like in the 5th grade or something like that. So I enjoyed it then, and even before I was making music, like I always liked doing that kind of thing. So that was exciting to me, and I've continued to do that. And as I put more and more out, I just want to do a bigger and bigger work. So
It's just your thing.
yeah, I mean, I guess really right now, what's driving me to write more songs is to be putting this album out, and then just to be turning over an amount of songs that is enough for kind of the system of how people listen to music these days, or people are putting out songs like every 2 months now, so it's you kind of have to compete with that. So
Yeah.
having a large quantity is a good thing.
Does that kind of keep you on track to know that, I guess, other people are doing this 2-month cycle? Does it motivate you in any way to go, I need to get this done, or I want to get this done?
It can. Yeah, I mean, sometimes like wanting to write songs is not always like gonna line up with what actually like makes a good song, or what is gonna inspire you. So you can't go like hunting around for a song. You kind of just have to be like, all right, I feel this way, and then like, okay, there's lyrics that fit with that feeling, and there's a melody or chords or a beat or whatever that fits with that feeling, and they all come together, and then you have a song. But yeah, you can't go like poking around for it. It just has to happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of to wrap this up, and you kind of maybe already answered it, and you're more than welcome to recycle the answer if you'd like.
Totally.
But I asked what the biggest piece of advice you've received, but to anyone that's listening that wants to pursue a career in music or just honestly pursue their passion, what would you give to them?
You just have to be fearless. Just gotta keep on creating things regardless of like whatever censorship is going on in your head, and just be able to accept any idea, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, is like they're all just ideas, and just create stuff. Yeah, create stuff fearlessly.
Yeah, I guess my biggest advice would be to play with as many other people as possible, especially people that you think are like way better than you. It's just so important to like actually progressing.
Yeah, collaboration is always something that even now people will say they'll recommend me to interview certain people or they want to help in every way. So that help from both ends of the spectrum and collaboration, I think, is definitely super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Thank
both
you
for
so
coming.
much.
This was
Thanks,
awesome.
Melina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are super cool, and
Appreciate
that
it.
was really awesome. But album coming soon, eventually. Yes.
Yes.
That's exciting. Yay. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. This has been a blast, and I will catch you all next week.
Awesome. Thank you.